I remember reading one of the messages and it says like, I don't like, does this affect you? I hope you're okay. And I was reading all these messages, I was thinking, what the hell? Like, I'm going back to work tomorrow, what's happened? And then that's when Boris did the announcement to say actually, so we had less than 24 hours notice to say actually you're not opening.
We've just got Alice and Co set up. You're in a car crash and you break both your wrists, which are literally your tools of the trade.
Yeah. It was really hard because, like you say, everything's just got going. You're just building a team, and then I can't do my job. Like, I was just in a bit of a hole, feeling sorry for myself. Like, why me?
A lot of people aren't born as an entrepreneur or as a business owner that has all their shit together all the time. Like, you have to go through stuff.
Exactly, and that all leads to where I am now. Like, I have been through all that, and I think it's looking at the long term. Like, in terms of where I want Alice and Co to go, like, we're not even scratching the surface.
No.
Welcome to Conversations with Alice, where we explore the realms of business, wellness and life. I'm your host, Alice Dring-Fern. On this podcast, we'll be bringing in inspiring business owners who will share their unique stories, challenges and triumphs. Together, we'll discover valuable insights and lessons to make our own entrepreneurial and business journeys smoother. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to be notified when new episodes go live.
Alice, why are we here today?
So I have wanted to talk about, oh no!
This is exactly how we knew it was going to go. So conversations.
Hold on. So conversations with Alice.
Conversations with Alice.
So I have wanted to share my story for quite a long time, and I just thought, who better to interview me than the lady that's been there from the very beginning, Lauren.
Thank you. I know it's been a long time, hasn't it? When did we start working together?
I think it's like 6 months after I started, so 2019.
19.
Yeah.
And that has been a massive, massive journey for you, hasn't it? And thank you so much for asking me to come on. So I'll introduce myself. I am Lauren Cope. I own an accounting firm and a consulting firm as well. And I guess when you first came to me, Alice, it was very much, Lauren, what do I do? Like, I'm in this situation. So go back to let's go back to before the business, because you haven't always been in skin and wellness, have you? Like,
no.
Where did you start?
So straight out of school, I think like a lot of people, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I had friends that were leaving school to go and do hairdressing. So I thought, go and do that. So qualified as a hairdresser, stuck it out for a little while.
I didn't know that.
Did you not?
No.
Yeah. So I did hairdressing for a couple of years, qualified, loved the team that I worked with.
Yeah.
And then just didn't really like the people that I worked for.
Yeah.
Started not loving my job. And then I left. Got a very brief job working in Dorothy Perkins. It was just something to get me out of that job at the time. That's P's, but discount.
I love it.
And then from there, I was looking for jobs. Again, didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I saw a job for a trainee dental nurse.
Yeah.
Didn't really know what it was, what it did, but I applied for it and got the job. And then that was, God, I can't think how old I'd have been then. But I worked in dental then for 10 years.
It was a long time.
You
worked your way all the way up as well, didn't you?
Yeah, so I started as a trainee and then qualified, I think it was like 18 months qualified, and then went on to do dental nurse training. So I trained dental nurses across the Midlands.
Wow, that's amazing.
I know, which was, hard work.
That doesn't surprise me though about you. Like, one, loving the team. Two, being there to train and support people. Like, that is who you are.
Yeah, it just comes naturally.
It really does.
Yeah, I just want people to do well. So I think a lot of that, that's where I grew up quite a lot in that job, when you become responsible for other people.
Yeah.
I think those that, if anyone's listening that come from a dental background or still in a dental background, it's quite hard working with a lot of dentists.
Yeah.
And they can upset you and make you cry. So when my trainees are crying because of somebody else, I suddenly grow up and start sticking up for people. So I think that's had a big impact on who I am and what I'm about today. And then the last 3 years of dentistry, I went to work in a private dental practice. So I was practice manager at a private practice, which again was fun. And then
that's a story for another day.
Yeah, another day. It's a lovely practice, but yeah. So I guess I just thought dentistry was always what I was going to do. I could do it inside out, do it with my eyes closed. Never really thought of doing anything else. There was always something in my mind that I'd like my own dental practice, but the cost of doing everything, obviously, I just didn't ever explore that. And then, so I guess I got into skin very cliche, I used to struggle with my skin quite a lot. So I was going for regular treatments, using the products, just loved them. It was a regular thing. Actually, when I was working at a dentist, I used to go back quite often with peeling face after a skin peel.
Did you?
Yeah, everyone's like, she's had a peel again.
You have to make sure not to peel into someone's mouth. Like, I'm so sorry.
It was when I was manager, so I just shut myself in the office. But yeah, so I always got a passion for that. And then just never thought of doing it as a job because I thought we had to be beauty qualified. And obviously I hadn't got any beauty qualifications.
Yeah.
And then I discovered that I can actually, so the brands that I worked with at the time still do, they train you based on your dental qualification. So because I was a registered dental nurse, I could use that qualification because it's more of like a medical grade treatment and medical grade products. So rather than being in beauty salons, they put themselves mainly in clinics. So anyway, as soon as I learned that, I decided that I want to just do that. It was very hard to actually open the account with them. So because I was a home clinic, because I was starting up at home, I applied to open an account with them 4 times. And each time they messaged back and said no. So each time I replied and I said, well, I think you're wrong. Like, I love your brand. I've used it myself. Like, it's helped me. I know the brand. I know the products. It's the only line that I want to carry. Yeah. And then eventually they agreed to let me open the account. And I still work with them now. So I'm glad that, they changed their mind.
So what was it then like that made you go back to them 4 times? Because most people would have given up at the first or second hurdle. They'd have been like, oh, okay, I'll just try someone else. Like, what was it about that brand or what you saw for your business that you were like, I'm going to do this 4 times?
I guess for me, because it was the brand that had changed my skin and the brand that gave me confidence, and I knew the brand, I knew the treatments. Yeah. I didn't want to open up, like I wanted to give the way that it made me feel and the way that it boosted my confidence. I wanted to give that back to other people, and I knew that brand and their products did it for me. So I didn't want to go and explore other brands. Like, it was that brand. I want to start a business. I want to start it with this product and brand. So that's what I'm going to do.
I'm still stuck it today.
So I started with them. And then, so we had a spare bedroom at home. So at the time I was married. So we, got a 3-bed house. So set up in the bedroom. Didn't have any client. When I look back, I think, what were you doing? Like, people at the time were thinking it's not going to work. And I was like, I'll make it work. So we set up the back bedroom, had no idea business at all. We're not business savvy, not business minded. Just got a logo off Canva.
Good old Canva.
Put it on the wall and just started. So I did my training. I think I qualified in the August. Yeah. Qualified in about the May time and then did my first paying client in August.
I can still see that back bedroom from our Zoom calls.
Of course.
I can see how it's all laid out. It's like such a transformation from like where you've been to where you are now. And even that time, like when you were setting up, like things weren't all okay in the background. Like were you still at the dentist practice or had you left then?
So I was doing locum dentistry. So it was a position where at the time I was working like 4 days a week, I think, doing practice management. And I just couldn't, I knew I wanted to grow my clientele and I couldn't do that based around working 4 days elsewhere. So I started doing locum nursing, which is where you can pick your hours and you can pick the days you work. Yeah. So that worked well for me because my diary was open, so I could try and build up the clients. And then any days, like a couple of weeks before, if I didn't have clients in, I could then offer those days out to go and do locum dentistry. Yeah. So again, that was a massive eye-opener going into locum dentistry. But we'll talk about that another time. But it just worked really well. And then, so set up, it was all working well, building up client base quite nicely. And then everything just started... A lot changed in 3 months, so it was all quite happy. It was almost like a bit of a hobby. Like I never thought about doing it full time. It was just I enjoyed what I did. I enjoyed doing it for other people, and then it started to grow quite quickly. And then at the same time in the background, so I think it was around. So it started in the August. In the December, me and my husband actually separated. So we'd been together for 10 years. So that was quite a big change anyway. Yeah. So it was trying to grow a business. We separated and he moved out. Then in the February, I thought, right, if we're going to go for this, we're going to go for it. So I quit my dental job and just did this full time. It was all going well. I was renting a room a few different places. And then I had my home clinic as well. So I was really trying to make it work. It was all working. And then COVID hit.
Oh, my God. Which I think one, going through, because you were separated, but you were going through a divorce at that time. So you'd left your job, left a 10-year marriage, setting up a business, and then we're met with a pandemic. But for you as well, that would have been really difficult because, I mean, it was difficult for everyone, but you had a face-to-face business, like you had to close. So you haven't got a job, you've got no one to support you, you've got a 3-bed house that you're looking after and a home clinic you can't run. Like, what do you do?
And 2 dogs to feed.
And yourself to feed. And myself. So what did that look like for you at that time then?
I remember sitting on the sofa just thinking, shit, like, I've got to make this has got to be a business now. Like, we've got to make it work somehow. Unfortunately, obviously, a lot of people got different grants and things during COVID. I didn't get anything because my business was new. I think that's where you came into it. I remember thinking, Lauren, what can I do? So I thought, right, we need to improvise. So obviously I had the products that I could sell online. So we just went in hard with that, which I think worked out well because, again, in lockdown, nobody could do anything. A lot of people were furloughed, so they were probably still being paid the regular salary, but they couldn't go out, they couldn't do anything. So I think a lot of people then started to invest in themselves. So like skincare products, home care products, that kind of thing worked quite well. I even had quite a lot of clients where they were wanting to come off medications they've been on, and sometimes if you come off medication your skin can flare up. So obviously I had those conversations online with clients, and it was a good time to do that during COVID, because if your skin's ever going to flare up, do it in a time when you can't go out, you can't see anybody. Like, it's quite a good time to do it. But there was a lot of clinics popping up at that time to sell products online. So again, I wanted to stand out, wanting to be different. So I remember packing up all my products and sending them off for a little photo shoot, so I could get some like content and stuff for Instagram. And then I just really pushed the importance of looking after your skin and home care.
But I think that a point to highlight there is you've always really valued your Instagram community that you've built, and it's never just been a marketing platform for you. And that's something that I really notice about your business is you don't post for the sake of marketing. You post for the sake of creating a community and having that support. And like you said at the start, when you've grown a team for the dentist practice, is it what do you call it? Dentist firm, dental practice. So you've grown a firm there, you trained people, you were always protecting people. Like, that has been a pattern I've seen throughout all of these years with you. It's always like your motto is the right people can change your life, but that's how you've approached Instagram and growing that community as well. So when you sent those products off, is that when you thought, I need to showcase how it can share your life as well to your community?
Like, I know the products work. Like, I know that it's just getting that across to other people. And again, I think a difficult thing with the skincare products we use, because they're medical grade and they're not just, you can't just order them online from anywhere. So you're kind of competing with all these big companies where you can just log in, get discount, influencers, swipe up, all that jazz. And it's quite easy to get their products, and it's trying to get across the education. So I think I don't sell products to people, and I don't sell treatments. Like, they come to me because I'm the expert, and I tell them what they need, and it's the education. If you educate people and give them their reason why they need things, they stick with it. But a lot of my clients that I've had, especially I have a lot of clients that just use the products at home, so they don't actually come in for treatments either. And they're still using the products now, and that was 5 years ago that they started. So,
but that's where the skin bar has come into play, hasn't it? Which really helps you as well. Now within your beautiful clinic that we will come on to shortly. But so go back to, it was COVID. You've started to launch these products. You've seen a great traction with that. The doors are now open. You can get people back in. How did that feel? Because you're still in the same house at this time.
Still in the same house. So I created quite a bit of a waiting list for when I was able to reopen. Obviously with COVID, like with the 7 months, they didn't say you're going to be closed for 7 months. I think initially, was it 2 weeks?
Oh, it was something like that.
Ridiculous.
I remember watching
and then
it on the telly.
And it kept on extending. So, and then we were the last
industry to
reopen. And I remember my friends, we arranged to go for a meal on the Saturday, because we were like, right, you're reopening tomorrow, like you're reopening on Saturday, so on Friday let's go out for a meal to celebrate. So I remember actually driving there, and my car started pinging, like I was getting loads of messages, and I thought, what's going on? And then one, I remember reading one of the messages and it says like, does this affect you? I hope you're okay. And I was reading all these messages, I was thinking, what the hell? Like, I'm going back to work tomorrow, what's happened? And then that's when Boris did the announcement to say, actually, so we had less than 24 hours notice to say, actually, you're not opening.
Oh my days.
So,
and you had a wait list of people who I'd already
rebooked, like everybody was booked in. So then you get all the messages again saying, is my appointment tomorrow going ahead? Like, am I still booked in next week? And I'm like, I don't know, like, I'm driving, I can't see what's going on.
Definitely. But that's it.
But yeah, so that was an absolute blow, because that was like, yeah, again, it was so frustrating, because I think at this point, like, barbers were open.
Yeah.
So men can go and get their eyebrows done, they can get the beards done, they can get their hair done.
I remember having that conversation with you.
It
like, I have a mask on.
Yeah.
I've got more medical grade PPE than any of these other businesses. We are
more sterile and cleaner than most places, especially from my dental background. Like, again, anyone listening, if you're in dentistry, you clean everything. Like, the way you clean down your kitchen is like you're getting ready for surgery. So, So it really annoyed me. And I just think, again, because I don't necessarily just do facials, like I treat medical skin conditions. So these are conditions that affect people's mental health, people's going through different treatments and their skin's blistering, it's sore, but I can't treat their skin, but you can go and get your beard trimmed.
I can remember that conversation as well.
Yeah.
And like, what are we going to do about it?
Yeah.
So again, you've created a wait list, and wait lists are really amazing, and it's something that, if you can create a wait list, you've got a warm audience then who are indicating to you that, you know, that'd be amazing for me to go ahead with you.
Yeah.
You did that really early on.
Yeah.
And having that wait list full of people, right, you booked them all in, now you have to push them back again. Yeah. How did you find that? Because even though it wasn't your fault, I'm sure you will have, one, felt guilty, and two, you will have had some pushback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the whole way through, to be honest, so people saying, well, so-and-so is doing facials, like, that's fine, go to them, I'm not going to. If I got caught, because there were a lot of people doing different treatments that shouldn't have been doing, and I just thought, if I get caught, this is my dental registration, like, everything I've built is based on my dental registration, and if I get stripped of that, I can't go back to dentistry, I can't carry on building my business, I can't do what I'm doing, so I'm not going to do any. Actually, at the time, I forget about this, but I was trolled. I don't know if we had this conversation. Yeah, a lot.
Like what?
Really horrible messages on Instagram.
Why?
I remember sitting at my mum's house and I got one, and it was just obviously like fake accounts, whatever, who don't know who it was, and it was just saying like, you don't know how to run a business, just because what had I done? I was setting up my marketing campaign, like to get the waiting list going and stuff, and people had signed up to get these emails, and then because of the way that the systems work or whatever, not everybody was getting the emails.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's like like Hotmail or whatever. Yeah. If they don't accept the emails, it won't come up into your inbox or something like that. So then I put something on my stories, and I got this message anyway saying like, you don't know how to run a business, like you're never going to be successful.
Thanks.
Blah, 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 blah. So that was horrible. And it was horrible because you're trying to, I'm not going to do treatments if I'm not meant to be doing them.
100%.
Like, I'm not.
Yeah.
So when you're then getting clients going, well, I can go elsewhere or I can do this, like, that's fine.
Crack on.
Go to them. But I'm not going to risk
and
this.
I think, like, I really understand where you're coming from, though, as well with that, because, like, I would do nothing to jeopardize my license and what I've built and spent, like, the last 16 years working towards, and for the sake of one facial.
Yeah.
And even though it's so important, and I bet that person on the other end was like, I need my skin, like, help me. Yeah. There's certain situations where you do have to push back and be like, look, no, I really can't help you in this moment. Like, I want to, please know that I really want to. Mm-hmm. But there's the wider picture as well. Mm-hmm. And say if you did go ahead and do 1 or 2 facials and got stripped of that license, you think of how many more hundreds, if not thousands, of people you then can't help in the future because of that decision.
Exactly.
So at this point, you're getting trolled, you're going through a divorce, you've gone through a pandemic. You're now told you can't reopen.
Yeah.
This is when it's like, okay, do you go back to doing online? Because I think a lot of what you've built as well, it's not just an in-person experience. You've created an online experience as well. Yeah.
So again, this is where the products then come back into it. So when people were wanting to have those facials, I'm like, look, start the products. A lot of the treatments I do, you have to prep the skin with products anyway. So it's like, this is a great time. If you want to book in for treatments with me when I reopen, start prepping your skin now. The longer you prep your skin, the better results you're going to get from the treatments. So, which again, it was just educating people and getting that across to them. But it's really hard, like, especially with everything going on in the background. Like, it was a really, really, really hard time. And I think when you're at rock bottom, like I guess COVID was good in some sense because I wasn't face to face with people, so you can hide a lot of what's going on from them. But yeah, when you're getting trolled and you're getting these messages to pressure you to open, and you're just not in a great place, it was
I think hard. That's a lot of what I see about you though. Like obviously you don't share all the shit that goes on behind the scenes, and I don't think sometimes that you have to share everything that goes on, but the amount of shit you've gone through, Alice, that people just don't know. And you still turn up smiling every day on online and to your clients. And how have you managed to go through that but still turn up and be like, everything's great, everything's okay? Like, how do you compartmentalize that?
I think the clientele that I've got is a massive part of that. Like, I've only ever been myself. I've never tried to be something that I'm not. So actually when my clients come and see me, they're coming to see exactly who they see on Instagram. Like, I'm not trying to be anything that I'm not. So because I can be completely myself, I don't have to feel like I have to be a certain way with clients. Like, actually a lot of clients, they become more like your friends. I always see the same thing pop up on Instagram where it says you're more like you're quicker to turn a client into a friend
than a friend
into a client. And I'm like, that's so true.
So true.
But yeah, so
did you share with your clients at the time, like, this is everything I'm going through? Because then you've got this level of like client experience and making sure they're having an amazing time as well. You know, when you see those memes where you're going to get your hair done, like, would you like therapy today or not? And if they say not, like, they put the tape over the mouth.
I've definitely there's definitely like a handful of clients that knew everything because they just know. They walk in and they're like, you're not okay. Or they walk in like, you've lost weight. And I'm like, nah. It's like, as soon as someone says, are you okay? And you're not okay, you're like, no, I'm not okay. But no, I think it was a good balance of being professional, and I was professional to people that I had to be professional with. And like I say, there was the odd client where you can kind of tell them what's going on. But I think because COVID happened and that had such a big impact, I think if there was any days where I probably wasn't 100%, it's
explainable.
But it was exciting. And then I think it was a bit of a blur really from when we came back out of lockdown, because the waiting list grew and because I was getting more and more clients coming in, and again with skin conditions, I learned quite quickly that it's not just treatments and products that are going to help people's skin conditions, and it's the entire wellness and well-being. So again, started speaking to you, I knew that I wanted to grow the business, and it kind of needed to grow quickly. So that's when I started looking at a premises.
You did. But before then, do you remember we went through so many different options of how you can take out everything you do from products and treatments and everything and package it up to help even more people. And that was something that you went through with like online memberships and things. Do you remember? And we spent hours. And you sunk such a massive time value and investment into looking into those options as well. They didn't necessarily work out.
No.
And
that's actually, I forget everything.
Do you remember?
Yeah, so we were going to push all the memberships and there was so many things to do, and I kept saying like, memberships are coming, memberships are coming. And then I was like, no, like that needs to start. I did the whole rebrand. So I was working with Hayley from Made by Rose. She's always done my branding. And I remember she'd got my Alice & Co branding ready. So before I was Alice & Co, I was Skin by Alice. So when I was at home, it was just Skin by Alice. And she sent me over the new branding for Alice & Co. And obviously, at that time, that's when I'd seen the first premises. So I was like, this is amazing. I can get this premises. I can launch Alice & Co. Like, it's a whole new thing. And then that premises fell through. And I remember speaking to Hayley and I was like, I can't launch Alice & Co. Like, I'm not Alice & Co. I'm just Alice. And she's like, no, you're not. Like, you need to just
go for
do it. You need to launch Alice & Co. But yeah, it was just so much going on at one time.
And I think what a lot of people won't see as well, just how much time and investment you've put into different avenues. And sometimes you have to make really hard decisions and cut your losses before it gets too much. And almost the way you've approached it is you've thought, right, how can I help this person? Let's try this. How can I help this person? Would this work for them? And you've always explored options with every ounce of person that you are. There's never been a stone unturned. It's not that you've just fell onto a successful business as to what people see. There's been so much strategy behind it in which you've taken the time to explore.
Yeah.
And that always hasn't been profitable
or
worth your time, has it?
No, not
There's
at all.
been times when it's been like...
Yeah. There's like,
well,
especially when you have such a creative mind. I think every day there's like,
you're like
50 ideas. How many voice notes have I sent you?
So many.
And I'm like, yeah, so not every idea turns out to be a good idea. But the ones that do, I'll never push anything until I'm 100% like, we need to research everything. Which comes back, like, I'm my own ideal client. I am, like 100%. I'm into everything that my clients are into. Like, so I go on the basis that if I like it and it would work for me, I know my clients are going to like it.
Yeah. There has been the odd occasion where you're like, Lauren, shall we do this? I'm like, absolutely not. You will not make any money from that. And that's when I definitely see, especially in the creative and wellness industries, I see an undercurrent of, oh, but this would be amazing. I'm like, but you are a business. You are not a charity. You are not going to make any money. Yeah. And I get met with that resistance of, but. And I'm like, if you want to do it.
Yeah, that comes back to me being a giver, like, because I know what I do can help people. I want to help people. Yeah. And it's balancing that, bringing in the boundaries of it's a business.
Yes.
And then that's where my mindset changed, because it is a business. And for me to grow the business to where I want it to be, to help more people and bring in more services, I have to start charging what you're worth. It has to be a business. So, so I stopped giving everything for free.
And I think that was when we started seeing the momentum. I remember having a conversation with you and you were like, okay, we're going to scrap that. This is what we're going to do. The first premises had fallen through and we're on to the second one.
Yeah.
And I remember one Sunday, I can really vividly remember sat in my bedroom and we were voice noting and you were in tears like, what am I going to do? This one's fallen through again. Yeah. And it always seemed like you got to a stage where you were all in, like, this is brilliant, and then something happened.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
Shit. Like, I'd looked at 2 premises, absolutely loved them, not at the same time. So I loved the first premises, absolutely loved it. You go and view it, you start imagining everything, you start putting all the walls up, everything, and it was just going to be this beautiful clinic, amazing views. And then it only takes one thing for me to, like, get the ick about it, and you think, no, this isn't going to work. So, then you go on again and start looking at something else. And again, you get your excitement, you get all your hopes up, you get everything, and then that doesn't work out, and you just think it's the world against. Hard. Like, and I think the hard thing was that I knew what I wanted, and I knew what I wanted the clinic to look like. Well, I thought I knew what I wanted the clinic to look like. So there were a lot of different properties that I looked at, a lot of things I viewed, but they just weren't right.
It's almost like that blessing in disguise, isn't it? Like that rejection is your protection. Yeah. And at the time, had those 2 gone ahead, you would have made it work and it would have been beautiful. Yeah. But had those 2 gone ahead, we would not be sat in this room. It would not be here.
Not at all.
And I think sometimes when you're annoyed in the moment, you just have to sit back and think, this is happening for a reason.
100%. I think the premises that I looked at before might have had 2 rooms. Yeah. Like,
it was very grand, wasn't it? It was a very grand premises, but it didn't have the same charm as this place does.
No, not at all. It was brand new. It was, very different. So it was just disappointing. And I think when different things fell through, I was taking it out on people around me as well. Like, you end up blaming other people. So I actually stopped looking, because then I started to fall out of love with the room that I had at home, and it was just, you're wanting to grow and you're ready to grow, but it's just not happening.
No.
So I just put that out of my head and thought, right, just stay at home, see what happens.
But during this time as well, though, this was the time when, like you say, you were trying to say, it's not just skin that helps skin. It's not just treatments that help skin. And that's why you were looking at the premises, because there was so much more to offer and you had so many more ideas of what you could offer. Yeah. That needed to have a premises for people to come to, not just a back bedroom. Yeah. So what was that transition when you were saying, right, okay, again, much like with the products, you tried 4 times to get the products. Yeah. We're now 2 properties in, they both haven't worked. Yeah. What is keeping you pushing forward to be like, I need a premises?
Because I know for my clients, I know they need more than what I can offer on my own. Yeah. And of course, like, you recommend out to other people, and there were other people that I can pass on for different services. But I wanted it as a team, and I wanted to just create somewhere where it was like a hub for different experts to come in and offer their services.
And you've never liked the word hub.
No, I don't like the word hub. But it is a hub.
It is.
But yeah, so I just had a vision. I knew what I wanted to do. And like you say, I can't get people to come and work in my back bedroom. It just wouldn't have worked.
No.
And I think that's at the point where I thought, if we're going to do it, like, we need to just do it. That's the whole thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think in the back of my mind, like when I was at that really low point, like I really was at rock bottom in lockdown, anything that I go on and do now, even if it doesn't work out, I'm never, ever, ever going to feel worse than what I did. Yeah. So you just go for it. Just try.
Yeah.
Give it your all. If you give it your all, you can never do bad, can you?
No, exactly. And you've always been a champion as well. Like the people around you change your life. You recommend 100%. Everyone to everyone. Like if you have someone and you're like, I loved working with this person, it was a phenomenal experience, you will shout about that person far and wide.
100%.
And that's what you wanted to bring to, from, you know, going from Skin by Alice now to Alice and Co.
Yeah.
The Co is equally as important as the Alice, isn't it?
Massively.
It's
the
that
whole
ecosystem.
Team, definitely. Yeah. Which again, it kind of goes back to dentistry. Like those that know, like a dentist is up here, nurses, reception, everybody else is down here. So I always said, if I do, like when I get the clinic and the practice, I want everybody to be on the same level. Everybody. Like there's going to be nobody, no matter what experts we bring in, I don't care how long they were at uni, whatever it is, they're bringing the same. Like every expert is on the same level. I'm on the same level as them. The clients are on the same level as everybody. Like there's no one's better than anybody. We just work together. So I stopped looking for premises, and then I remember getting the email to say that this one had come up. And I'm from Burton.
Yeah.
So I thought, and it used to be a clinic, and it was like, right. And I said, I'm just going to have a look. Like it's too big for me, like whatever. But there's that whole, I'm just going to go and have a look. So I went to have a look, and then the next day the wheels were just in motion for new Alice & Co. And it was, the building's massive. Like I'd gone from looking at premises with 2 rooms and a reception room to a 3-story building with 7 rooms and a big training room.
And like a yoga suite.
Yeah, yoga suite, so much space.
And a coffee bar.
Big reception,
Like an entertaining space. Yeah. And a skin bar now.
Yeah.
Like it's massive.
Yeah. And which is funny because now I feel like we fill the space, like it's really utilised and there's so many different things going on.
Yeah.
If I didn't have the space that I had, I just wouldn't be able to do the things that I'm able to do. No. So we're only a year in, a year in August, and every room's being used for different things. Like I've grown into it. So when I came to view it, I remember thinking, we'll just do a floor at a time because it's just going to be me to start with and we'll just take it slow. And then just true Alice style, that didn't happen. So just went all in.
Again, that's a massive part of your personality though, that you are a typical visionary in which that you have a million ideas, but you go, when it's an idea that you can run with and it will work. And I think that's where sometimes I kind of like bring you down a little bit to be like, that one will work, that one won't work. But the ones that do, you put out like every ounce of your fibre into that.
Everything.
And lots of things haven't worked even now.
So many things. So many things. Even since opening the clinic, so many things haven't worked, and it's hard.
Yeah, but you don't show that. There's a lot what happens that you don't show online. But I think that is as well, like, you're not just thinking of you're protecting your community because they don't want to see that.
No, they don't need that.
They don't need that.
Everyone's got shit going on, but you don't need to bring it to the table. So.
And you're always so smiley as well. Like you're always just.
But I think that's where, like, I love what I do. I love the whole atmosphere at the clinic. I love doing the wellness events. I love helping people. I love bringing people together. I love networking. So yes, it's hard work. Yes, I'm exhausted, but I thrive off how it makes other people feel. Yeah. So when I get the messages that I get, and when we do the network events and the way that people feel afterwards, like I thrive off that. So I'm not gonna stop doing what I'm doing. Like.
Okay, so Alice & Co has very much been this amazing ecosystem, and after everything that you've had going on, we're finally in the clinic. Like it looks amazing. You've got it set up. You've got your perfect people in here. And much like at the start when you were just getting going, and then a pandemic hit and you were getting divorced, this same thing happened a few years later. Like we've just got Alice & Co set up. You're in a car crash and you break both your wrists, which are literally your tools of the trade.
Yeah.
What happened?
Again, it was shit. I remember that morning. It was a sunny morning, and I thought, because I started work in the afternoon. I was like, I'll just take the dogs for a nice walk this morning, like happy, had the music on, and then crashed. So I remember I quickly messaged all my clients that were in that day, and I remember putting a post up to say, I've been in a car crash today, I'm just taking a few days off, and then I'll be back on Friday.
Oh my God.
Obviously I was on morphine at the time, so that just didn't happen. But yeah, so then it's been 3 months.
Oh my God.
So I'm due to go back in August, but it was really hard because, like you say, everything's just got going. You're just building a team, and then I can't do my job. So the first couple of weeks, I was just in a bit of a hole, feeling sorry for myself, like, why me? And then actually that's when we had the Zoom call. So I think it was 2 weeks after I crashed, we had that call, and it went on for 3 hours.
Definitely.
And we were like, right, what is it that I'm going to do? But I think in hindsight, and I've said this to so many people, I'm actually quite grateful for the crash. I think leading up to that, I was so busy doing facials, and there was so many, which is great, but there's so many different things that I wanted to do, and I just didn't have the time or the headspace to do it. So I thought, right, you're never going to get 3 months off again. So everything that I wanted to do now. So we did all of the prep work, all of the launch on the skin bar. So that's all going live. We, again, like the online consultations, the products, that's something that people carry through. So it's just, there was so many things that I was able to do. It was really hard in the beginning because obviously I wasn't able to actually use my hands. So there was so much laptop work that I wanted to do and I couldn't. So a lot of I'd probably say the first month, it was just mentally getting into the headspace of when I can do this, this is what I'm going to do, and these are where we're going to go with this. So in the last 3 months, so we've launched the wellness days. So we did our first one where we did the flower arranging class, we did afternoon tea, and then we did a group sound bath, which was just so nice, just having people in and utilising the space, and just, again, people just feel good after it, and it was just lovely. And then one thing, obviously, again, mentoring, it's something I've helped people for a long time. And God, how long have you been telling me to do mentoring?
Years.
A long time.
Years. But it's one of those things that you have to come round to the idea of. And I think when that first came out, even going back to the COVID times, you've always had other women especially messaging you and saying, how have you done it? What, you're doing amazing. You've grown this community. Everyone talks about you. How have you done it? And you've willingly and freely gave your time to countless people where you've said, right, do this first, then do this, then do that. This has been years and years. I've said, like, Alice, you should be a mentor. You should really sell yourself as a mentor, because it's not just what you've been successful in doing, it's what you've overcome. And I think saving people and almost collapsing that time, saving them so much investment into different areas where you have made mistakes and things have happened where you will look back and you'll be like, yeah, I shouldn't do that. But you're in such an amazing position now to be like, yep, you're doing it. And on that 3-hour call, I was like, Alice, now is the time. You have to do this now. And I think where as well you were pivoting that time is you physically could not move your hands to the point where your fingers had been numb. Through no fault of your own, you were thrown into yet another situation where you had to think on your feet and pivot. But all of the decisions you've made along the way have allowed you to say, okay, well, that's set up. There's income coming here. There's income coming there. That's okay there. Now is the time to reintroduce mentoring, which has gone really well, right?
It's gone really well. It was amazing. And I wish I'd done it all those years ago. But no, it's just, like you say, there's been so many things behind the scenes, so many things gone wrong, so many costly mistakes. It's like anything, if you can save your energy, time and mind space, then
That's one thing I would say about visionaries, though. This is one of the hardest bits of my job is I will often say, please have the conversation with me first before you do something. But with visionaries and people who are like you, who are like, I want to do this and I want to do that.
Do it all.
You do it and then you ring me and then it's like, okay, we'll deal with it. And I think that's where you're starting to pivot as well, is it's that planning and the long-term planning of it. If you just have that conversation with someone who can give you an outside perspective, like you do in mentoring, now you're able to save someone that time and effort by planning ahead versus making a decision and being like, yay, oh shit.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I had this conversation just the other day, like when you're growing your business, the first thing you want to do is start making money. Obviously, it's like you want to start making the money. And then when you start making the money, you then start spending it. And I think I went through a phase where everything I was earning or everything I was bringing into the business was going back into the business. And it's like, that doesn't always grow a business. I think you can put money into things that aren't going to make a return. So it's knowing, especially when you're a small business and you're new, if you've only got a small budget and a small amount that you can spend, it's knowing where to put that's going to grow the business rather than where to spend it. Like you can order your fancy leaflets and your new business cards, but they're not going to bring clients through the door. So you spend on what's going to bring the clients through the door. And then once you've got a healthier bank, that's when you can go and do X, Y, and Z. So, but yeah, the mentoring, I love it. I think, again, one thing I think I struggled with it is what can I offer? But there's so much. That's why I went down the whole one-on-one route, because it's so bespoke to them and it's whatever they need help with. So if they need help with how to create their brand or how to build the clientele, how to price up a price list, whatever it is, like I've done it. I've been there, done it, and I can help them with it. So but I love it. And it's, there's been a few people already and they've made decisions based on just a 1 hour call. So yeah, it's really good. I love it.
But I think as well, to nod to that as well, it's been a good few years now where you've evolved as a businesswoman. Yeah. And I think that has been really lovely for me to see as well, is to watch you go through this. Like, I'm actually not going to make that decision because I know this will now be the case. And I think a lot of new business owners jump into things, and I call it the magpie syndrome. So where you're like, oh, it's shiny, I'm going to do it. They're getting great reviews. Like, I'm going to buy that. And being an accountant, like, I see all the background, and so much money gets sunk into things that, one, don't propel you forward, two, is not profitable, and three, maybe just sits there doing nothing. So it's been a waste of money and you get no ROI. Like, you have gone through all of that, and now you're in a position where you can step back and be like, no, I'm going to consider it first. This is what I'm going to do. And that's how you help your mentees now, as well as your team, as well as everyone at LS & Co, as well as your clients, as well as everyone you recommend to everybody else. Like, you can't, a lot of people aren't born as an entrepreneur or as a business owner that has all their shit together all the time. Like, you have to go through stuff to get where you are now.
100%.
And you've been through a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but exactly. And that all leads to where I am now. Like, I have been through all that. And I think it's looking at the long term, like, in terms of where I want Alice & Co to go, like, we're not even scratching the surface. No. And that's what excites me.
It makes me get butterflies. Excited, I'm so excited.
And like, when things come in, whether like different people renting, whatever it is, different like events that we do, if it doesn't make people happy or it doesn't grow the business, it's not part of it. Like, there's a vision, and I'll stay with that vision. Yeah. So
amazing.
It's exciting.
Well, this first episode has been amazing. Thank you for having me on to interview you.
That's okay.
Always a pleasure.
I won't ask anyone else to interview me.
Oh, amazing. So I guess we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us for today's conversation. Really hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as we enjoyed filming it. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, and leave us a review if you enjoyed it, and tune in for the next one.
Loft 112.